Hi. Welcome to Movies Explained in English. In today's video, I am going to explain war action film entitled, Saving Private Ryan. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with a family being led by an elderly veteran through a cemetery. He stops to look at the two flags raised and becomes emotional as he walks closer to the gravesite. He stops in front of one, tears up, and kneels. His whole family rushes to his side to comfort him. June 6, 1944 at Omaha Beach, the U.S. Army arrives. Soldiers are on a landing boat with some of them vomiting because of the rough waves. Miller calls out his orders as they get closer to the beach. Many of the soldiers wear a determined expression as they get ready for what's waiting for them. As soon as the murder holes open, soldiers start dropping as they're hit by bullets. Miller calls out for some to get off over the side instead as more are killed by machine guns. Those who are able to jump into the water are struggling to get their stuff off of them, which is weighing them down. Some are also hit by bullets underwater. It's chaos everywhere as everyone struggles to keep afloat and defend themselves. Miller watches soldiers hiding in fright and death. Bodies are everywhere. The water is red with blood. While zoning out, soldiers around him are calling for his attention for further instructions. He finally replies to Horvath and tells everyone to move off the beach. Horvath takes action and tells the others to follow him. Miller, on the other hand, tells his group to move to the seawall. Most of them refuse, but he insists they need to leave to make room for the others arriving. He points out that staying on the beach will guarantee their death. So, they move towards seawall. Reaching the seawall, Miller realizes that no armor made it ashore. He asks who's in command and finds out he's the only one who made it. He asks Horvath where they are and the man answers that they're right where they're supposed to be but no one else is. They scramble to unite the squad together to check who's accounted for and get a foot on the situation. Miller calls for Bangalore's up the line. After the explosion, Horvath screams that they're in business and commands everyone to defilade the other side of the hole. Miller instructs Jackson to take out the machine gunner. He stands in the open as bait to give Jackson a fighting chance to find cover and take the shot. The tide is changing. Miller sends out the announcement that Dog 1 is open and requests for dozers. Some of the enemy soldiers are surrendering as the U.S. Army overwhelms them. Back in Washington, someone reports to Captain Sanders the death of 3 out of 4 Ryan brothers, who in turn informs Colonel Bryce. The telegram of their deaths will be sent to their mother at the same time. Captain Sanders also adds that the 4th brother, the youngest, had arrived with the 101st Airborne Division the night before the invasion. He's somewhere in Normandy, but they have no idea where and if he's alive. The news traveled to General Marshall. Someone tries to dissuade him from ordering a rescue mission for the last Ryan brother, but he reads them a letter written by Abraham Lincoln to a Mrs. Bixby who lost 5 of her sons to battle. He believes that the last brother is alive, swears they will find him and get him out of the war. As he's reporting the situation at Omaha Beach, he's given the order to retrieve Ryan. He'll be going to Newville with his own squad in what he calls a public relations mission. They think he's part of those airborne misdrops. He specifically requests Rybin, Jackson, Wade, Mellish, and Caparzo. The rest of his company will be folded into Baker. He searches for Upham since he's also in need of a French and German translator. Upham informs him that there are a lot of Germans in Newville and he's never been in combat since he's assigned on maps and translation. Miller tells him that he's needed with or without experience. On their way to Newville, Rybin asks the math of risking the lives of 8 soldiers for the life of one. Wade answers him to think about Ryan's mother, but Rybin argues that they all have mothers too. Upham tells them, theirs not to reason why theirs but to do and die. Miller agrees that it's their duty as soldiers. They all have orders to follow which supersedes everything including their own mothers. They arrive in Newville with an intense fight ongoing against the Germans. They meet up with Sergeant Hill who thinks they're the relief, but Miller corrects him and asks about Ryan. They cross town to reach where they think the 101st Airborne Division including Ryan will be. They stop to ask a German family where the German soldiers are, but the family insists they take the children instead of listening to Miller. Caparzo approaches them to take the little girl. He tells them he can't give the little girl back because she looks like his niece. Caparzo gets hit by a German sniper while arguing with Miller and bleeds to death. Jackson takes down the sniper. They find Captain Hamill after a standoff with a couple of German soldiers and Ryan approaches. When Miller gives him the news, they realize they have the wrong Ryan. They're looking for a James Francis Ryan and the one in front of them is James Frederick Ryan. They rest for a couple of hours in a church that evening. Miller checks on Upham and he tells him that it feels all good for him. Upham quotes Emerson, which Miller catches. He asks him where he's from and what he did before the war. Miller replies by asking him how much the pool is up to. Upham laughs at being caught and tells him that it's around $300. They strike a deal that Miller will let him know so they can split the pool once it reaches $500. Reaching the rally point where Ryan should be, Miller instructs Wade to help out the injured soldiers as they're searching for the soldier they need. DeWint calls for Miller to update him of the situation at the rally point. He asks about Ryan since it was DeWint who flew in the 101st Airborne Division. He explains that someone welded in a couple of steel plates onto their deck to keep General Amend safe but forgot to inform DeWint, and he finds out when they're about to go airborne. The weight of the plan is off and it's overloaded. He did his best but could only do so much. The plane went down like a brick and the division was scattered all over. While Miller is calling out for Ryan, a man tells him that Mandelson knows of a Ryan from C Company. He's brought to him and he learns that a group including Ryan came across a colonel who was gathering men to go to Rommel to babysit a bridge. On their way to Rommel, they come across a radar site. Ribon and the rest of the squad suggest that they go around it and focus on their mission since it's not part of their plan, but Miller insists they subdue the site. They are successful but lose Wade. In anger, they beat up a surviving German soldier. Miller stops them to order the German soldier to mark and cover Wade's body for grave detail. As he's digging, the German soldier begs for his life as the squad stands around him. Miller has the German soldier blindfolded and instructs him to march and surrender to the next Allied patrol. Ribon yells at Miller after what he sees as multiple missteps he has done since they started the mission, from Caparzo and Wade's death to taking over the radar site, then letting the German soldier go. Horvath orders him to fall in, but Ribon refuses and states that he's done with the mission. Everyone is arguing when Miller asks out of the blue what the pool is up to. They stop and look at him when he finally discloses to the squad that he was an English teacher in Pennsylvania. A baseball coach during spring. This diffuses the tension between everybody as they listen to him calmly share his life. After attacking a tank, the squad finally finds Ryan. They find out that Corporal Henderson has taken over for Captain Jennings after his death. He asks Miller what they need and he informs him that they're taking Ryan. They walk to the side and Miller informs him of his brother's death and that he's being sent home. Ryan tells them that he has his orders too and refuses to abandon his post. Horvath tells Miller that he agrees with Ryan. They can go back and tell their supervisor that Ryan refused to go home, or they can stay and help his squad defend the bridge before bringing him home. Miller decides to stay and fulfill Ryan's orders. They start planning on defending the bridge and making sure to take down the German soldiers. Jackson will be stationed at the bell tower. While Miller shares that they can take out the tank with a sticky bomb, a bomb made out of a sock, composition B, a simple fuse, and axle grease. Ryan asks Miller where he'll be stationed and the other man replies that he'll be sticking close to the captain and it'll be a non-negotiable. Mellish informs Upham, on the other hand, that things will get crazy and they'll be relying heavily on him to provide ammo or they're dead. He also finally tells Upham what FUBAR meant, which is fucked up beyond all recognition. The two talk with Ryan asking Miller if it's true that he's a teacher back home. He tells him that it's something he can never do, especially after how he and his brothers treated their teachers. Miller answers that he had 1,000 kids just like them. He tells Miller that he can't see his brothers' faces no matter how hard he tries. The other man states that he has to think of a context, not just the face but something specific, something they may have done together. He shares that when he thinks of home he thinks about the hammock in his backyard or his wife pruning rose bushes. Ryan recalls a night he had with his brothers, the last night they were together before the oldest went off to basic. Everyone rushes to their station as they hear the rumbling of tanks arriving. Ribon is tasked on the Rabbit to bait the Germans into going their way. When he comes back, he informs them that the Germans have a ton of infantry but he's not sure if they took the bait. One of the tanks heads their way with infantry's right behind it. They start the assault as soon as the tank is close to the bridge. Miller calls out for Mellish and Henderson to move. He orders the sticky bombs to be deployed. They successfully take down 2 of the tanks but more infantries are on the move. A tank targets Parker and Jackson who are on the bell tower. They're taken out. Upham is unable to move from his position. Mellish and Henderson are out of ammo. Upham finally gets the courage to move but sees German soldiers heading for Mellish and Henderson's position. Mellish gets into a scuffle with Steamboat Willie, who had joined the fight again, and tries to yell for Ribon's help. Horvath successfully takes down another tank with a rocket-powered grenade. As Upham makes his way back to Mellish's position, Steamboat Willie, who was in a fight with Mellish, has overpowered and stabbed him. Steamboat Willie finds Upham cowering on the stairs and he stares at the other man before walking by him. Upham cries. Another tank and more infantry arrive where Miller and Ryan have stationed themselves. They run. Horvath finds Upham cowering by the stairs and grabs him. He tells him that they're going to the Alamo. Miller and Ryan cross the bridge and try to cover fire from the other side. As they're trying to cross, Horvath gets hit and Rybin catches him. They get across and Miller orders Ryan to take him and take cover as they're blowing the bridge. Miller gets disoriented when something explodes close to him. He sees Horvath's dead body and Rybin grabs him so that they can take cover. As the fight continues, Miller walks in the open to get the detonator. Steamboat Willie shoots him on the chest, which Upham sees. More tanks arrive. Miller shoots at one with a pistol since it's the only thing he has. Air support arrives and starts bombing the Germans. Some try to flee and Upham gets out of his hiding place, pointing his gun at them. Steamboat Willie is with them. Realizing the difficult decisions that are needed to make during the war, Upham kills him without remorse. Rybin attempts to provide first aid to Miller as reinforcements finally arrive. Ryan approaches them while Rybin looks for a medic. With his shaking hand, Miller pulls Ryan closer and whispers to him to earn this before dying. Back at the cemetery with an older Ryan in front of Miller's grave, he expresses his gratitude and mentions that his family wanted to come and visit him as well. He tells Miller that he tried his best to live the life he could and he hopes it was enough, that he earned what they've done for him. The movie ends with Ryan paying his respect by means of saluting in front of Miller's gravestone. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos like this and to help the channel grow.